over the years, there have been certain countries at Miss Universe who have not gotten past 1 crown. In this video, we have to talk about those countries because everything is not as it seems when it comes to these one-hit wonder countries. First up, Peru. Peru won their first and only Miss Universe crown in 1957 with 17-year-old Gladys Zender. Their most recent placement at Miss Universe was in 2023, actually in the top 10. In total, they have had 21 placements, 1 second runner-up placement, 8 top 10 placements, and 12 top 20 placements. And by the way, guys, when I'm talking about the top 5, top 10, top 20 thing, it is the equivalent, because over the years, you guys know we've had top 12s, we've had top 15s, we've had like top 6s. So if I'm talking about it in terms of top 5, top 10, top 20, then it's just the equivalent of those. When it comes to Peru, this is not a bad country at all. They usually don't lag behind when it comes to Miss Universe. They do pretty okay overall, and I just think it's an issue of they tend to send better contestants some years than other years. They're not wholly inconsistent, but they do lean on the side of inconsistency sometimes when it comes to the quality of their contestants. But over the decades, Peru has maintained consistent placements. They've just never gotten particularly close to the crown. In 1961, Germany won its Miss Universe crown through Marlene Schmidt, who was 23 years old, and their last placement was in 2002. Overall, they've had 20 placements at Miss Universe, including 1 first runner-up placement, 5 top 5 placements, 8 top 10 placements, and 6 top 20 placements. Germany is one of those countries, however, who is not very consistent at Miss Universe nowadays. They have not gotten with the times. I suppose that the sort of popularity of pageantry in Europe as a whole has sunk dramatically since the feminist revolution of the 60s and 70s, which explains why Germany has seen most of its successes in the early days of Miss Universe and not so much anymore, just because there's not as much interest in pageantry in Germany. And I suppose a lot of the Western European countries as a whole, the interest in pageantry has definitely waned since the 70s and 80s. In 1976, Israel won their only Miss Universe crown through Rina, who was 20 years old. The last placement for Israel at Miss Universe was in 2005, where they placed in the top 10. And overall, Israel has had 19 placements at Miss Universe in total, including 1 second runner-up placement, 5 top 5 placements, 5 top 10 placements, and 8 top 20 placements. Again, as you can see, Israel is a country that definitely has seen better days when it comes to Miss Universe, with their last placement being in 2005, which is almost 20 years ago. Spain won their Miss Universe crown in 1974 through Amparo, who was 20 years old, and they last placed in Miss Universe in 2023, where they got a top 10 placement. Overall, Spain has seen 19 placements at Miss Universe, including 2 first runner-up placements, 3 second runner-up placements, 2 top 5 placements, 9 top 10 placements, and 3 top 20 placements. I think the fact that Spain has only 1 Miss Universe crown is just down to downright bad luck, because as you can see, they are pretty consistent. They have gotten pretty close to the crown on some occasions. It's just they haven't had that lucky strike of a win yet. I think honestly, Spain is pretty good. They just don't always have the same level of contestants. I think in Spain itself, a lot of the times it comes down to the quality of the women themselves. I don't think that Spain places extra hard attention on giving that above and beyond support to their contestants the way that countries like the Philippines does. So it all comes down to their contestant themselves and how they are able to motivate themselves and, you know, finance themselves and train themselves, etc., etc. So Spain does have some incredible women. It's just not always the case that incredible women tend to compete at Miss Universe Spain. In 1990, Norway won their Miss Universe crown through 19-year-old Mona Grudt. The last time Norway was in the Miss Universe finals was in 2005, where they placed in the top 15. Overall, Norway has seen 16 instances of placements at Miss Universe, including 1 first runner-up placement, 1 second runner-up placement, 5 top 10 placements, and 9 top 20 placements. Norway, yet again, I think you can tell, is one of those countries who did pretty well during the early days of Miss Universe, but don't do so well these days, primarily just because of what I've said about Germany. In those parts of the world, the enthusiasm for pageantry has been waning since the feminist movement in the 1960s and 70s. In 1964, Greece won their Miss Universe crown through Corina Topay, who was 20 years old. The last time Greece was present on the Miss Universe final stage was also in 2005 in the top 15. Greece had 15 placements at Miss Universe, including 1 first runner-up placement, 1 second runner-up placement, 1 top 5 placement, 2 top 10 placements, and 12 top 20 placements. Greece won their crown so long ago, and they haven't really been a feature at Miss Universe. Of course, they've been competing, but they've rarely placed recently. I think we can chalk this down to the fact that Greece used to be more present. They used to be more with the times when it came to pageantry, but nowadays, really, they can't compete with some of these other big pageant countries anymore. In 1962, Argentina won its Miss Universe crown through 24-year-old Norma Nolan. And the last time Argentina was on the Miss Universe final stage was in 2020, where they got a top 21 placement. Argentina has had 15 total placements at Miss Universe, including 1 second runner-up placement, 1 top 5 placement, 1 top 10 placement, and 7 top 20 placements. Argentina, again, I think is similar to Peru in the way that some years they have an incredible contestant competing, some years they have someone mediocre competing, and some years they do not have someone who is much competition at all competing at Miss Universe. They do lack that consistency needed when it comes to contestants, but at least over the decades they have managed to consistently place, as evidenced by the fact that they managed a placement at least recently in 2020. So Argentina is definitely one of those countries who has potential if they can manage to consistently send quality contestants year after year. In 1987, Chile won their Miss Universe crown through Cecilia Bolocco, who was 22 years old. Chile was present in the top 20 at Miss Universe 2023. They've had 13 total placements at Miss Universe over the years. Chile does seem to send some good contestants from time to time, but looking at their overall placement streak, it's definitely not that great. They could do better, but sometimes they just send someone who's good enough to get onto that final stage. They don't necessarily get into the top 5 that often either. So Chile's main problem is they often send someone who's not good enough to get into finals at all, and when they do, it's someone who's just moderately good enough to get into finals and not necessarily get really close to the crown. In 1989, the Netherlands won its Miss Universe crown through Angela Visser, who was 22 years old. And the last time the Netherlands was present in the Miss Universe finals was in 2014, where they actually had a 3rd runner-up placement. Overall, the Netherlands have had 12 placements at Miss Universe over the years, which include 1 first runner-up placement, 3 top 5 placements, 4 top 10 placements, and 4 top 20 placements. Sometimes the Netherlands just comes out with an incredible contestant. And I do think that this once again comes down to sometimes there's just a woman in the Netherlands perhaps who is able to be self-motivated, who is able to put in the resources and finances to train herself, to help herself, and who just sees the pageant as a vessel for her to go and pursue her dreams internationally at Miss Universe. And this also has its benefits, you know. I think that the Netherlands can benefit from investing a little bit more into the women that they send, because obviously their track record isn't that great. Their track record was much better in the beginning, but I think in modern times it all comes down to how self-motivated the woman representing this country is at Miss Universe, determining how well she will do. Because in some countries it's not necessarily feasible for the title holders to depend so much on the organization that they are representing, and they have to be pretty much self-funded, self-motivated just to get anywhere. And I think that that might be the case with the Netherlands in the modern day. In 2003, the Dominican Republic won their Miss Universe crown through Amelia Vega, who was 18 years old. The last time the Dominican Republic was in the finals at Miss Universe was in 2022, where they got a second runner-up placement. Overall, the Dominican Republic has had 11 placements. They had 1 first runner-up placement, 3 second runner-up placements, 1 top 5 placement, 5 top 10 placements, and 1 top 20 placement. As you can see, the Dominican Republic has been doing pretty well at Miss Universe. I do think that in recent years and in modern times, the Dominican Republic is coming up, is an up-and-coming pageant powerhouse, sort of, although they do live in a very difficult part of the world, you know, in the Caribbean, where we have Puerto Rico, and, you know, being so close to South America, where of course you have to contend with Colombia, Venezuela, etc. They are pretty much living in one of the most competitive places in the world when it comes to pageantry. But I do think that Dominican Republic has been making a name for itself recently when it comes to pageantry, as is evidenced by the runner-up placement in 2022. In 2002, Panama's Justine Pasek, who was 23 years old, was appointed as Miss Universe, as we all know, after Russia's Oxana Fedorova quit. And the last time we saw Panama in the finals at Miss Universe was actually in 2021, where they managed a top 16 placement. Overall, Panama has had 9 total placements, you know, 1 technically being the first runner-up placement that they got in 2002 before Justine was crowned Miss Universe, 1 top 5 placement, 3 top 10 placements, and 5 top 20 placements. I see Panama as sort of a hit or miss country also. Sometimes they really get it right. Sometimes they don't necessarily get it right. And again, they live in such a competitive part in the world, being the Americas. So it must be truly difficult for women in this part of the world to compete. Speaking of Russia, in 2002, Oxana Fedorova won Russia's one and only Miss Universe crown, which she later gave up. She was 24 years old. The last time we actually saw Russia in the Miss Universe finals was in 2012, where they managed a top 10 placement. Other than this, Russia has had 8 total placements at Miss Universe, including 1 first runner-up placement, 2 top 5 placements, 3 top 2 placements, and 2 top 20 placements. Nowadays, it is pretty much unheard of for Russia to do extremely well at Miss Universe. Of course, they won that 1 crown, but I do think that Russia is a country that is pretty much overlooked nowadays when it comes to Miss Universe. And I want to say pageantry as a whole, they're definitely not one of the stronger European countries, even though Europe doesn't tend to be the best pageant continent in the world. Russia is definitely not coming very strong in pageantry nowadays either. In 1983, New Zealand's Lorraine, who was 19 years old, won Miss Universe. The last time New Zealand featured in Miss Universe finals was in 1992, where they managed a top 10 placement. Overall, New Zealand has had only 4 placements at Miss Universe, including 1 second runner-up placement, 2 top 10 placements, and 1 top 20 placement. So obviously New Zealand isn't one of the best countries when it comes to Miss Universe, and it sort of makes sense. I mean, geographically, New Zealand is a very small country, but then again, so is Puerto Rico, and they tend to do extremely well. And so for New Zealand, I don't know what their deal is. They just probably don't have that much of a selection to choose from. Women don't really care about competing in pageantry in New Zealand, I suppose. I'm not exactly sure, but it's been a hot while since we saw New Zealand doing well at Miss Universe. Then, of course, there is the country of the year, Nicaragua, who actually won their crown last year in 2023. Meaning that the reigning queen, Sheynnis Palacios, who is 23 years old, is actually the first woman to win a Miss Universe crown from Nicaragua. The last time Nicaragua got into the finals at Miss Universe was actually very recently, by comparison, in 2020, where they managed a top 21 placement. Overall, Nicaragua has only ever had 4 Miss Universe placements, which is insane to think about. And the 2 of them have been top 10 placements and 2 of them have been top 20 placements. Nicaragua might just be an up and coming Miss Universe sort of powerhouse. We just don't know yet. We'll have to see, because obviously their track record at Miss Universe hasn't been so great up until recently when they placed in the top 21 in 2020, which, you know, a placement is a placement and that's great. But recently having won Miss Universe through the incredible Sheynnis Palacios, that's incredible. I do hope that Nicaragua's organization can focus on keeping this up. But it's going to be very difficult for whoever steps into Sheynnis's footsteps next, because she was just one of the most incredible contestants at Miss Universe last year. In 2011, Angola won Miss Universe through 25-year-old Leila Lopes. And the last time before this that Angola placed at Miss Universe was in 2007, where they saw top 10 placement. The overall placement streak for Angola at Miss Universe is only 3 placements in history, including 1 top 10 placement and 2 top 20 placements. I basically think Angola got lucky. They got really lucky with an incredible contestant like Leila Lopes. I think that she was very much self-driven, self-taught, all of that. I don't think that Angola has the best resources that they put into their contestants. I think that they largely hope for the best when it comes to their contestants and see what happens and leave things up to chance. That's just how it looks to me. This is obviously not the way that very powerful Miss Universe countries like the Philippines do it, for example, where they have their girls, like, you know, religiously practicing and all of that. But Angola, I think they got really lucky with Leila Lopes. In 1992, Namibia won their Miss Universe crown through 19-year-old Mchhelle McLean. And the last time Namibia featured at Miss Universe was in 2023 in the top 20. Overall, Namibia has had 2 placements at Miss Universe, besides their win, of course, which includes a top 10 placement and a top 20 placement. Now, this is personal because Namibia is my home country. I've been living here for 12 years now, and nothing frustrates me quite like the inconsistency of Namibia. Well, it's not really inconsistency, is it? It's just literally, it was almost 2 decades that we didn't place at Miss Universe at all. So I don't think it was inconsistency. I think it was literally just not training the women, not giving the women the correct resources that they needed to compete. But hopefully things are changing now, because Miss Namibia have new ownership, you know, being the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, which means more money, which can actually do really great things in the pageant world if you know where to spend it. And obviously last year with Jamila Uiras having placed in the top 20 at Miss Universe, it does give me a lot of hope for my home country at Miss Universe. In 1971, Lebanon won Miss Universe through Georgina Risk, who was only 18 years old. The last time they placed at Miss Universe was, get this, 1973, where they were in the top 12. Overall, they've had 2 placements at Miss Universe, which includes 1 top 10 placement and 1 top 20 placement. Needless to say, having placed for the final time in 1973, Lebanon is completely off the map when it comes to Miss Universe, so what more can I say about that? Speaking of off the map, in 1999, Botswana won Miss Universe at their debut year through 19-year-old Mpule Kwealgobe. And get this, they have never placed at Miss Universe before or since this. No other placements, which is absolutely insane. Of course, Botswana did take a long hiatus from Miss Universe, and this year they are actually sending a woman to Miss Universe once again. They got extremely lucky when it came to Mpule Kwealgobe. Keep in mind, Mpule actually competed at Miss World, where she didn't even place. So I think it's just an incredible story that the iconic Mpule Kwealgobe, you know, with her winning reaction and everything, was able to win Miss Universe, despite the fact that her country has not stepped foot on the Miss Universe final stage since then. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I like to make informative little videos like this from time to time. I think it's fun. It keeps my brain sharp when it comes to all of the history and all of that, which is something that I also really enjoy about pageantry. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!